What's happening, everyone? Welcome to Season Gaming Bitcast episode 207. It's a lovely Sunday Father's Day morning here, and we are ready and rocking back to go. I am your host, Ainsley Bowden, joined by this amazing panel. First, you know him, Mr. Tie Guy Travis himself.
McClunky.
How you doing on Father's Day, man? You thinking about the family you're gonna have here soon?
Oh yeah, man! I am such a family man. Father's Day certainly hits hard with me in this.
You exude family man.
You didn't even know where to go with that joke.
I didn't. I mean, I knew where to go, but it was going to be so dark that I was like, "Back down, Travis. Back down." It's a podcast.
This is not.
People are here to have a good time, not think about your childhood. So yeah, I'm here, man. It's great. It's great.
Joined as always by the man, the myth, the seven himself, Mr. Rodriguez.
It's so hot. It's so hot right now. Right? Like this is I'm dying.
Any of us in the Midwest are dying. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But happy Father's Day to everybody. That's
think
awesome.
About it this way, Dan.
For Travis.
Think about it this way, Dan. This is the coldest you'll ever be.
Really?
Going forward.
I have no idea what that means. All I know is that if I were to raise up just a little bit, there'd be like sweat stuff right here.
Don't do that.
I'm being optimistic, Dan, because it's about to only get warmer. That's what I'm saying. Look on the bright side. This is the coldest you'll ever be from now on.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan. Yeah. Just let it in at this point.
And for our episode today, Hoeg is traveling for some Father's Day activities. So we brought in the substitute, everybody's. We figured, what better person to have on Father's Day than everybody's adopted father.
Yeah,
Mr. Doctor Moe himself. Good morning, brother.
Good morning. How you doing, man? Thanks for having me on. Good morning to everybody. Happy Father's Day to all of my sons out there. You guys are all loved and appreciated equally, I think.
Including you, Travis. Smile.
Including you, Travis.
No one loves me. Let's not go there.
He's probably right.
At least you embrace it, man. I appreciate that
my
about
girlfriend is just so on me. Really, I'm still trying to win that one over. So.
By the way, we good morning, chat. Good morning, everyone. By the way, we updated the overlay and we realized that we missed a big opportunity here to switch that to Moog instead of Hoeg, and I have failed everyone. I apologize. I'll do better next time. But for now, we will obviously give a shout out to Mr. Hoeg, who's traveling, like we said, and we're going to mention some of his opinions later on some topics we have. But good to see everyone this morning. We're going to be talking about quite a few things this week. We've got some good reviews to talk about, including Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is out, Shredder's Revenge. We've got the Quarry I'm going to be talking about. We've got some of the extended showcases this week. So we had the Final Fantasy Celebration. We had Xbox Extended Showcase. We had Capcom Showcase. So we're going to be breaking all of those down, as well as talking about some of the debate going online right now around Final Fantasy and what platforms it's on, which should just be a joy. So we'll talk through all that. But before we get to that, I want to just say a big thank you to everyone who joined us last week. I went back this morning, obviously. Hasn't even been a week yet because we did the show on Monday. But it's the biggest show we've ever done. The simulcast we did last week, it's already over 8,000 views on YouTube alone. And then obviously a few more thousand audio listeners. So well over 10,000 combined in 6 days, which is absolutely nuts. I mean, that's absolutely nuts. I just super proud, super happy, and very thankful for all of you who have come and check us out here lately. So thank you.
Yeah, man. That's awesome.
It's crazy. It makes Dan nervous, by the way.
Yeah.
But,
total anxiety. Yeah. Not the direction I was hoping we would go. That's good.
He's like, I was hoping we would level out about 20 people and just call it a day.
Yeah, as long as I know everybody's names, we're good.
So, all right. So why don't we go ahead and jump into what we're currently playing, guys? Big game came out this way. Well, maybe not a big game, but definitely a popular game among the community, which is Shredder's Revenge, a classic throw 'em up, beat 'em up by Tribute Games and Doctor Moe, who have just crushed this one, guys. I know, Travis, you didn't review it for IGN, of course, but really,
yeah, obviously.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah, of course, always. If it seems like a game I would review, except for it seems too good, Saltzman reviewed it for sure. That's the rule. That's the rule.
So it's an amazing game. Our reviewer Elu, who will probably be in the chat here shortly, he is a huge classic gamer, big beat 'em up fan, and absolutely adored it. We played through it last night with 6 players, beginning to end in story mode, and it is absolute chaos. I mean, utter chaos. So
Yeah.
I don't know if all of you are enjoying this as well, but it's a great throwback.
It's quite good. I started playing it last night with my girlfriend, whose knowledge of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was pretty limited. In fact, us playing the game made me realize that she hadn't seen the live action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies from the 90s. So we watched the first 2 of those, and let's just say she's a fan now. So
that's awesome, man.
Those movies actually hold up. Like,
yes,
actually, they're still pretty good. That's
what I told Ains the other night. I told him, I'm like, dude, the first one still holds up really, really well. I mean, both of them do, but first one.
We watched the first one, the second one, Secret of the Ooze, and obviously we got to watch Turtles in time.
Which one was with the Vanilla Ice?
2.
That's the second one, right? Secret of the Ooze. Yeah.
Yeah, they do the dance contest.
Yeah,
it's a very stupid movie, but very good.
Yeah.
But yeah, the game's quite good. We played through a couple of the levels. We were trying to go through on the hardest difficulty, but we were playing with randoms online, which was very hit or miss. Sometimes people would just like drop out of levels, or they would just stand there for like the duration of the whole level, and you can't move forward if they're just like standing in place. And so it was a little weird, but we liked it. It's a really good game. I'm hoping to get through the rest of it today or tomorrow. Oh, and we ordered pizza. I saw everybody was sharing.
Seems like everyone was doing
pizza.
that.
Yeah. Some of their pizzas, man, was really rough. I know you guys were commenting on that.
We've tried to tell Dash, and shout out to Dash. We love him, but he needs to just. I said yesterday, throw the towel, man. Stop posting pictures of your pizza because it's not cutting it on the Twitter space. You got to be careful with the pizza.
Which one was worse, his or Luke's?
Luke's was
god awful, and then he tried to later explain it was a white pizza, and we're just
Luke's looked exactly like him. That's what it was. It was so pale and just pasty. I was just like, gosh, what the hell is that?
It's like how people look like their dogs. They look like
looks like pizza.
That's why he did fish.
Dude, somebody threw up like Domino's in their photo, and I was like, that was kind of brave. I was like, this dude's not.
That was Dash's second attempt was Domino's, and then he came back with a third attempt, which looked even worse. I don't quite know what he's doing out there. Hey, he's in San Diego. Travis, if you could take a trip down and just help him. You know, he needs help.
What? San Diego like has decent pizza. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Our son is a lost soul.
Wow.
He's in the chat too.
I just figured, he must be in like Iowa. Like he's got no good options or something like that. But dude, that's crazy. All right.
Yeah, I mean, we're Dan and I, as everyone knows, we're in Kansas, and we have some pretty good options locally. I mean, it's not New York, obviously, but yeah. I mean, you can get better pizza than what has been shown by these guys online. That's for sure.
I mean, it's embarrassment. I mean, you should just stop and stop posting these pictures. Yeah. I mean, you're posting stuff from like Little Caesars. I mean, then you're just getting into like, eat a Totino's, right? Because that's better than anything that you've had shown so far. Frozen pizzas. Have a pizza roll from Totino's also. I mean, anything is better than that. So just, stop.
That was bad.
Stop it, Luke.
That was bad.
Dash, I'm trying to be on your side, but it's hard, man. It's really hard.
Dash, I tried, man.
No, Mo, you can't save him, man. Just throw the light.
I'm sorry.
Don't even look back. Don't even look back. Oh man. I also want to mention the Quarry. So I was reviewing this. I've just been sadly playing it a little slower, but I finished it yesterday because I was playing it in co-op with my wife. And what you can actually do is there's 8 characters in that game, and when you start it, you can play in like a couch co-op mode where you each pick characters, and then as those characters' moments come up in the game, you just pass the controller. Really, really fun, really well done. If you liked, obviously, Until Dawn's the one that always gets referenced, but if you like the other Supermassive games, like House of Ashes and Little Hope. Man of Medan wasn't very good, but the other ones were pretty decent. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's like a teenager, it's like a horror movie out of the 80s, pretty much. So it's a lot of fun. The writing's a little better. The fidelity on the character models on the Series X PS5 versions is actually really, really good, surprisingly good. So yeah, it was good, man. It still had some B movie silliness and other things, but a lot of fun. So highly recommend that. I'll probably get to write up some thoughts this week to express them a little more thoroughly.
Oh yeah,
good stuff.
I played none of these.
You didn't play Turtles yet?
I didn't even know it was out.
Oh
man.
That's the one. That's the one that it looks like from like the arcade, right? Like,
yeah. Just like Turtles and stuff.
I mean, I love Turtles, but that's just what I should have played that. So yesterday we had the kids over, some nephews and stuff, and we were trying to find some games, and I ended up getting Jackbox, the new. Yeah, that would have been perfect. I would have rather played that. We ended up playing Jackbox. There's like a murder mystery one on there.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, murder.
Yeah. What let me tell you about it. I had no idea. Me and my wife sat there and looked at each other, and like we're just yelling stuff out like on our phones, like, "Oh, I got it right, fantastic!" Like you have to like put your murder weapon with like a letter in your name, and it's so weird. And so we had no idea. Like the kids around us are like, "Why are you guys so stupid?" And we're just sitting here looking at each other like, what did we do wrong? Why do I have to draw a weapon with one of the letters of my name in it somewhere hidden? And so then I just like start scribbling as much as possible to try to hide it. Doesn't work. And then why am I killing somebody with a bowl of salsa or the C? I mean, I'm just like, this is so dumb.
It's and we
had no idea. Oh yeah, it's completely random. It's not fun for me. I think the drawful stuff was great. I love that.
Great.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good game to play with the kids. But that's basically all I've been playing.
Yeah, man, you should have hooked up Turtles, man. 6 players, it's hilarious. It's a blast.
I wish I did. I totally blanked on that one. Now maybe I'll do it today because they're going to be over today too. So
yeah,
be fun.
Check it out. Cool.
Mayhem. I haven't started up the Quarry yet, but it's on my list, Stains.
Nice. Yeah. If you like those games, you'll like this one. It's very similar. So it's pretty cool.
Let me you need to give a shout out to .emu, man, because this is the second brawler from the 90s that they're involved with, and that's been revived. Streets of Rage 4, and now you got Turtles, and they've both been just, loved by, across the board by, everyone playing them. So that's awesome to see, man. I mean, it's really fantastic. I hope they keep this up. A lot of people now are asking for the X-Men arcade game.
Yeah,
that would be pretty sweet, man. If they can actually modernize that the way they've done with these last couple entries. So, yeah,
X-Men and Simpsons were always my favorite ones. I mean, outside of Turtles on Super Nintendo and stuff. But I still have the Simpsons one on an emulator I can play on my TV. But those are great games, man. They really hold up. Thief.
And you can play 6 players local on that, or you can play local.
Oh, and online.
Oh, I don't know about local. Can you?
No, you can.
Can you do
6 players local? Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Xbox supports 8 controllers.
It does. Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, damn.
It's on Game Pass.
It is.
Yep.
Perfect.
There you go. Done.
There it is.
Done.
He's back on that Game Pass subscription.
No. I'm going to use my son's subscription. I'm not using mine.
That's the same thing, bro. It's the same thing. If the Rodriguez household, for 2 of them. You have
that's why I was so disappointed last week when I didn't get the Xbox Game Pass family announcement. That's what I was really looking forward to. Hopefully it's still coming. But yeah, I pay for 2 of them anyway.
That's not really a showcase announcement, in my opinion.
I mean, come on. Or you could have done it, at the after show that we'll talk about.
Then it is.
Yeah, it would have been. Save me some money. That's what I want to see.
That strikes me as a Friday Xbox News Major Nelson post.
Whenever you guys feel like doing it, just do it, and I will gladly pay what I'm paying right now to give it to everybody else. I'll share it with you guys. Whatever you guys want.
All right, let me catch up on some of these super chats real quick. We got, and I modified this, Travis, so I don't think it'll actually push you upwards now. No, it'll just completely cover your face.
Yeah, so that's even better.
Perfect, bro.
There you
go. Fat Boy Horror, £5 super chat. Let me get it out of my system first thing. We don't need a bargain basement FF, just Sega. Bring back what I need. Phantasy Star. I agree with you. That would be awesome.
My man is on a mission. He's out here promoting Phantasy Star every day. Godspeed to him. Godspeed.
I mean, you know what? I mean, here's the thing, right? We get Turtles, Streets of Rage. We get every other remake, remaster, reimagining, but nobody wants to go back and make one of the greatest RPGs of all time. Nobody wants to go back and do Parasite Eve. Nobody, we always get these other, just everything else. Literally everything else except for that. I'm with you, man. Fat Boy, I'm on your side, buddy.
Phantasy Star, legendary.
I need it. All right, Gecko Gamer, €5. Whew, getting excited. I was really hoping that Hoeg was on here. He was salty about the new FF games that were announced. He was.
Wait, Hoeg was salty about something?
Hoeg was so salty? Same joke.
You guys might want to ask him about that.
Yeah. We'll speak for him when these games pop up. It's going to be fun today because we got Resident Evil news on Village, his favorite Resident Evil, by the way, and also Final Fantasy news, which he adores the direction it's going. So we're going to talk pretty heavily about Hoeg's opinions today. We'll take care of it for him. We look out for him around here.
Oh man, Gio Rio with the €10. Normally not playing some
more covered
older games.
This one. Hey, by the way, guys, longer the comment, the more I'm covered. So have fun with that.
Normally not playing so many classic or older games, but TMNT is really giving me a big smile the whole time playing. Big thumbs up. Also, multiplayer with randoms can be fun. Enjoy, guys.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate all of you as always, our regulars. Thank you so much. And yes, TMNT, like the Shredder's Revenge is amazing. So check it out. All right. Anything? Can't speak. Anybody else playing anything noteworthy? Go, Travis. Go.
I'm playing Outriders World Slayer, which is my
the new thing.
IGN.
Yeah.
Yes, nice. It comes out on the 28th, and
your enthusiasm is speaking volumes right now.
Well, I can't be enthused until the 20th, which is tomorrow.
At 8 a.m.
I'm following the clause in my NDA that says I may not publicly be enthused. So this is me telling you that I'm reviewing the game.
Great insight.
All right, we got it. Awesome.
So the I was going to ask you, so we'll know more about this tomorrow, but usually you can't even say that. So we'll know more soon.
I can tell you that I already did a preview on World Slayer for IGN, and that the preview I played was pretty interesting. They're basically launching this as like a 2.0 of the game, so it's really, they redid like the end game system. It takes a lot from Diablo in terms of the end game trees and kind of near limitless like ability to level up. They expand the loot system a lot. It's got new story content, obviously, so pretty interesting what I played in the preview.
That's all I can do.
NDA clauses. Yeah.
Sarko said, "Outriders, who'd you anger at work?"
Bro, have you seen my other reviews? Yeah.
He's
clearly my editor
a long time ago.
Yeah.
What was that one you loved, Travis? The Nerf one?
Nerf Legends?
Legends and Postal 4 are his games of the year. Yeah.
Postal 4, Crossfire X. That one I felt was spiteful. They gave me that one to hurt me. It was good.
Man.
All right. Any other games currently playing, fellas?
Playing Resident Evil 2. The remake. I jumped back into it after the enhancements came out. That's amazing, man. I hope they. The only thing I mentioned it the other day is it needs a little bit of optimization. At least I'm playing on Series X, but I was told on PS5 as well. It's having some stuttering. Especially because of the ray tracing and whatnot. Still performs great, but like I had a section in the in the police station where two zombies grabbed me, and it plays like a little animation where you're trying to like fight them off. And dude, my frame rate took a big poop. It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. So I think they'll get that ironed out. I still think RE Engine is one of the best out there in the world. In terms of how just freaking flexible they are with everything. It just looks fantastic across the board. So I'm sure they'll fix it. But yeah, RE2
Can you turn the ray tracing off?
There's a performance mode and an RT mode. That's all I know. Performance mode is 120. I'm pretty sure that's without ray tracing. And then there's only 2 modes. Unless someone else can correct me, but you know me, man. I'm a freaking I'm a visuals whore. I jumped straight for the RT mode.
Yeah.
Man.
All right. Yeah, I haven't gone back to it in a while, but yeah, pretty cool. So that's out for 2, 3, and 7 actually, which is cool. Cool. All right. Let's jump on over to our main topic today, which could be around Final Fantasy. So we got the Final Fantasy 7 25th anniversary celebration this week. And within that, they announced that there are 4 projects ongoing right now just for Final Fantasy 7, which is very strange to me, but it is Final Fantasy and it is Square, so it's probably not that strange. So we'll start with the big one, which is that Final Fantasy VII Remake 2 was finally announced. So this has been a long time coming. The most hilarious thing about this, in my opinion, is that the original game, or the original remake, came out in when was that? 2020?
2019 or 2020, yeah. April 2020, I think.
April 2020. Okay. So they're a few years in now, or a couple years in, and they, we all know that they said that they've designed this in a way where development will be faster. We won't have to wait very long. They announced this week as releasing in winter of 2023. And I think we're all very acutely aware of delays that happen endlessly for games. So if it actually hits winter of 2023, we'll see. I would say the odds are probably pretty low, which means realistically we could be 4 years in between when part 1 and part 2 launch. And they announced that this is a trilogy. So with that in mind, you're looking at a potential 7 to 8 year run just to remake one game, which quite frankly makes no sense whatsoever to me. But we can touch on that. And yeah, it's called Rebirth. They got about a 1.5-minute trailer or teaser out there for it right now. So a couple things I want to talk to you guys about, which is one, Final Fantasy VII Remake, how much do you like it? Are you really pumped about Rebirth? And I know, like I said, I know Hoeg's missing some stuff here. And then 2, what do you think about this development time? Is this kind of crazy? Is it just me? I think we're all kind of shocked at it, honestly. And then we'll get to the sheer fact that still at this point in time, nothing has been announced about this game ever coming to Xbox. So first, Rebirth itself, the announcement itself, you excited for this?
No. I'm not excited for this. I generally don't like remakes. I just think unless the game was terrible and you're trying to redeem it or something, like Final Fantasy VII was one of the better games. I don't know that it needed a remake, but that's fine. I get it. Remakes happen. I'm not the biggest fan of them. I don't like that they're selling you the same game 3 times for $70 price tag each time. I'm not a huge fan of that model and the way that they're doing it. And yeah, I mean, I just don't get out of bed for games I've already played, generally speaking. So, and then yeah, the exclusivity is weird. I mean, I don't think anyone in the right mind is a fan of exclusivity when it's not necessary. And this is like one of those things where if you're happy that this game's not on other platforms, like why? You know what I mean? Like I don't really get it. But I own a PS5. I could play these games. I don't. Whatever, man. I'm not freaking out about this. I don't get the hype on this one. So I think Hoeg and I might actually agree on this one. This might have been a rare Travis and Hoeg alliance segment that we'd be witnessing.
Thank God he's gone.
Yeah, we don't want to ruin our streak here.
Unstoppable. Yeah, you can never.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm not super. I know people like this game, and I'm in the minority. Remakes don't really do it for me. So.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. I'm not a Final Fantasy VII was already not one of my favorite Final Fantasies, so the remake didn't really interest me. So it's definitely not for me. That's that's why I'm letting you guys lead the conversation, because I don't have too much to say on it. I will say on the development time, I kind of already mentioned. I don't understand. I know it's a huge remake. It's a huge undertaking. They've it's like brand new basically. So I get that aspect of it. But you know, if you think about the course of the size of games, new games that are developed over the course of 7 to 8 years, it does seem weird to me that you're talking about 7 to 8 years to remake one game. That's wild to me.
Well, I mean, go ahead, Mo, because I'm kind of still trying to figure.
Yeah, no, things, you know, I'm not a JRPG fan. You know, I mean, I don't play them, but I did play the remake. I put in about maybe somewhere between 20 and 25 hours. I remember when I got to Aerith's Village, I just got bored and I stopped.
Okay.
You know, obviously, look, you know, we talk about remakes. You know, no matter how you feel about them, I personally, I'm a sucker for remakes and remasters. That's just me. You know, I am the sucker that these people target. The only thing I do, you know, with Final Fantasy VII, a lot of people don't consider it to be their favorite one, but it is the most popular one ever. I think we can. I think everybody can agree on that. And it's probably why it's being remade. And this isn't just like a remake. I mean, you can clearly tell. Like, I mean, this is a full on across the board, even with story, everything. I mean, just, you know, from the production values and whatnot, you can clearly tell they got very ambitious with this. I'm sure initially their intent was to just make it a remake, one time, one shot, but then they're like, all right, well, that's not going to work if we're going in that direction.
Yeah, and there's, not to interrupt you, Mo, but there's a few people in the chats that just clarifying that, yeah, it's beyond a remake, right? It's actually kind of combined into a sequel as well. So that's a fair point. Fair point.
Yeah, so that's for that. And then,
sequel?
Sorry,
why is it a sequel?
I don't know.
It's not really. It's not. I don't even think it's a sequel. Do you even consider it a sequel if it's still Final Fantasy VII? Isn't this just a continuation? Or isn't this just like this entire remake of this original game that they're doing? But this is just I don't know, man. I don't know if you want to call it
like a reimagining, because it's not like beat for beat.
No, that's what I was told. It definitely wasn't.
No, I mean, that's the definition of a remake, though. It's the same game, but it does not follow beat for beat what the original did. If it followed it beat for beat, it would be a remaster. So I think people are saying, oh, it's so much of a remake that it's a sequel, which that's just
I don't think it's
not true. It's just a remake. It is a remake. It's a remake.
Oh no,
people are saying it's a sequel are wrong.
They literally called it remake.
It's definitely a remake. Yeah, I know the name is remake. So that's one thing, at least, you know, for that. And then the whole thing that started coming out with man, I was gonna go somewhere else and I completely forgot. Development. I'm sorry, that's where it was, because you were talking about development. The one thing I did catch too is they did say that they already started development on the third one as well. So I think they're obviously they're aware of the long development cycles. And to be honest with you, I don't even think I was kind of shocked when they said it would be 2023. You know, there were jokes like because of how long the first remake, there were jokes because of how long it took to actually come. You know, so people were like, oh, it's probably going to be another 5 or 6 years. So once they said 2023, I was like, wow, 3.5 years after the first one. It's actually that's not as bad as a lot of people can, thought, including myself. And then I don't know how far along they're going to be on the third one, whenever the hell that does come. But I think they are aware of that. And really, it reminds me of what Barlog said about God of War when he said he wants to. They shortened it to only 2. They wanted to do 2 instead of 3 because he didn't want to make this like a 10-year thing. Right. You know, I mean, so right. I hope I would expect these developers to at least be aware of that as well, not just from his side, but from everybody. Like, you can't keep people waiting 10 years for a trilogy, so.
It's tough in AAA game dev right now, right? Because we know those games take years and years to make, and if you're planning a trilogy, it's like that's the nature of it. So yeah, it's going to be not to switch us to God of War, but that's going to be interesting too to see what Ragnarok closes out and where they go from there. So
that's the game that's been in development for at least 4 years, using probably the same engine, probably not changing a whole lot about what we're going to get, just really adding more content. So, I mean, if that tells you anything about what these guys are probably going through right now.
Yeah. There seems to be there's a lot going on in chat around around the story of Final Fantasy VII. So you guys, obviously there's people that are bigger experts here than I am by a long shot. So some people are saying It's a sequel. It's a reimagining of the game with pretty consequential changes, expanded upon, and then split across 3 parts, is what Dash said. Nick Metal EX says, sorry.
I was just going to say that's part of what a remake means. You're allowed to make consequential changes to the story and still call it a remake. That's sort of part of remake's definition.
Like they're doing with Resident Evil 4, which we've talked about,
Yeah.
right? They've said the same
Or
thing.
they said Dead Space too. They're going to change stuff in that game with the remake. Probably Knights of the Old Republic. They're going to change stuff. Like you're allowed to, just because the story has changed, if it's still telling a different version of the same story, that is literally a remake.
Yeah,
So,
I got you.
yeah.
I'm sorry, I missed there it is. Zen State says, not true. It's basically an alternate reality where the original game is its own thing. The entire plot is fighting destiny and changing the original plot to what this new remake is all about. So it's kind of interesting. So let me ask this then. If you're a big fan of Final Fantasy VII, which as Mo correctly pointed out, is whether you like it or not, it's probably the most recognized Final Fantasy, most popular. Yep. So if that's the case, if you love this game as a kid or whatever age you were, I think I was an adult, damn it. But if you love this game as back then, does this remake do it for you? Like I have seen a few people, and it seems like the remake was very widely loved. So I'm not criticizing the remake, but I know at least a few people have told me they prefer the original. I'd like to hear from the chat what you guys think about that. I haven't played it, so I couldn't tell you.
I like with me. I'm fine with, I don't know. I mean, we're getting kind of into like these definition kind of things. It's definitely a remake. It's. I enjoyed the first game. I'm also enjoyed Final Fantasy VII in its original form. This is definitely different from a story aspect. It's got the same characters, just kind of again reimagining stuff, and that's fine. I'm not like super into like the lore part and aspect of it, and like all the big differences or even the small minor differences. I enjoyed it for what it was on its own, separate from Final Fantasy VII, the original. That game for me was a great game. Not my favorite Final Fantasy, but it was still really good. And it was when it released back, in the PlayStation days, it was just different, than a lot of stuff we got. It was more, I think it was more accessible to a lot of people, and it was a lot of people's like first JRPG kind of thing, even though there was, stuff out there before. It's just
the original.
Yeah, the original.
It was because it hit right at the when PS1 kind of exploded right in popularity, and that's part of what drove the popularity of Final Fantasy VII for sure.
Yeah, and this is fine, and I don't. And if you just take it away from everything else and just look at it for what it is, standalone, it's a good game. I enjoy the combat mechanics quite a bit. It's still Final Fantasy, so you're always going to get that kind of weird, to me at least, weird, storytelling, weird dialogue, the weird, kind of moments. And then, excuse me. But, it's a good game. It's fun. I'm excited for the second one. I wish everybody would get it. I'm not sure what's going on with this exclusivity thing, whatever they're doing. I don't know what is happening. I wish more people could play it because it's a the original was, like I said, a very beloved game. So it's, man, I don't know, man.
That's what I was going to ask. It's on the exclusivity thing. It's kind of strange. And by the way, Ryan said they made a 5-hour chunk of the original game into a fully fleshed out 40-hour JRPG, which is impressive. Which
it is
fair enough. But yeah, I think on the exclusivity front, and I want to be very clear up front that I don't hold a big dog in this fight either way. I'm not losing sleep at night over this. Just for clarity point, the reason this has come up is that when the game launched in 2020, the packaging was updated to say this is a timed exclusive until the following year, 1 year timed exclusive. And so a lot of assumptions were made that meant, okay, it'll come to Switch, it'll come to Xbox, other platforms at the end of that 1 year exclusivity. Obviously, that hasn't happened. They did obviously just launch it on PC this week as part of this celebration, which is awesome. More people get to play it, especially seems like a great game for the Steam Deck, so I've heard. But It is, if nothing else, to me personally, I don't really care, like I said, but it does feel a little strange that Square Enix won't even comment on the fact that this game is not coming to Switch or Xbox, or at least not in the short term. So I don't know what you guys think about that, but I figured they would have at least said something. Not that Xbox or Switch owners or players, what have you, are owed anything. I don't think that. But you figure Square would have at least commented on it.
So usually they're not allowed to when it is a paid exclusivity deal. I've talked to developers that, sign these things and they go
during that year though, right?
Yeah. Well, they'll tell me and they'll be like, yeah, I mean, we're not allowed to talk about it, but we signed an exclusivity deal for a blank amount of time and then we can release it after that. But this actually reminds me of something that happened with Destiny, where Destiny said, we're gonna have a year-long exclusivity with something on PlayStation, but then the thing that they were working on that year got delayed by like a full year, and so then the stuff that was supposed to be exclusive for 1 year ended up being exclusive for 2 years. And so I think with some of these deals, there might be something where it's like, well, when the full version comes out or when the next thing comes out and we have something else exclusive to have, then you can give this to the other people that don't have it yet. It's like something like that. So it could be that they thought it was going to only be 1 year and maybe episode 2 would be out by then, and then they're not allowed to talk about it until episode 2 is out, or something of that nature, or possibly something where it was supposed to be a year exclusive until the full experiences is out. So maybe we're gonna have to wait until the year after game 3 before they're allowed to talk about Xbox versions or whatever. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think this will be one to monitor if you want to know how these sorts of deals work mechanically behind the scenes, because I think we might learn some stuff from this. But yeah, my experience is this can be a little complicated, and there might have been some clause or unexpected thing that's causing this to take longer.
Yeah. Yep. Fair insight.
Yeah. I think the exclusivity kind of speaks for itself, man. Sony, put in a lot of money towards this exclusive deal. And look at Final Fantasy 16. Isn't that going to be a 2-year exclusive deal? I mean, so the writing's on the wall with that. And I think just they knew Final Fantasy 7 in general. I don't know if I remember something along the lines, maybe Travis or somebody can correct me. Didn't Sony have a hand in funding some of the development for the remake, or am I wrong? I could have sworn I read that once, but maybe I don't know.
I don't remember that.
Then maybe not. But the exclusivity deal itself, obviously, they paid a lot of money. I'm sure it's brought a ton of money to them, in general, towards their ecosystem, because they know, again, just because of the popularity of the series itself and of 7. And I think the exclusivity thing that was on the product when it first released, it was vague. It said 1 year exclusivity. 1 year later, it comes to the Epic Game Store. Then another year later, earlier this week, it comes to Steam. So I don't necessarily think that me personally, I don't think that they knew that they thought that it was going to be fast, the development period. I just think that Sony just said like, hey, nothing else but PlayStation for the first year. Right. And then obviously EGS came in, Epic Games came in. They're like, okay, we're buying a 1 year exclusivity on PC for this game. And now obviously, more people can play it. Cause I saw a lot of, people disappointed, rightfully so, I mean, especially if your preferred way to play is on Xbox, or if you can't get a PlayStation 5, completely understandable. But there was some stuff that I saw floating around that said like it was promised. It was never promised. It's a bunch of crap. It was never advertised. It was never promised. Exclusivity is what people are. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, there's also that strong possibility that Square simply does not want to put it on the platforms that they haven't put it on. Like Xbox doesn't do great with a lot of Japanese games, a lot of JRPGs. They don't sell a lot of copies, so a lot of Japanese developers just choose to not port it to that platform. And Switch has the question of, can it handle it technically? Like, could it even run PlayStation or the Final Fantasy 7? And that is a legit concern, right?
Can it run to streamed for sure?
Can it run to a quality that they care about? So I could just see a world where Final Fantasy VII Remake is now on every platform that they had intended it to be on, and that they're not planning to bring it to the other two for financial or technical reasons.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. So I think yeah, it sucks. It's disappointing, but this type of stuff doesn't surprise me, man. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if all 3 games just only stay on PlayStation until all of them are done, and then they eventually come to Xbox in like 7 years, 8 years. By that time, like most people have already freaking moved on. You know what I mean? But and look how long people waited for Persona to come to Xbox.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's out there, guys.
Well, we'll see if it sells well. We'll see if it sells well.
Yeah, that's the other thing. They're coming to Game Pass. So
that's the other thing, right? I guess there's probably a calculation they look at now between sales and engagement through Game Pass, right? And obviously Xbox has to look at that financially too. Does it make sense for them to reach out to companies like Atlas and Square to bring these games to Xbox, bring them to Game Pass? Do they get a return on it? I mean, it's always we say it all the time. It's always about money. No matter what you think, it is always about money. And even to Travis's point, when you think about, okay, Square considering, can we run Final Fantasy VII Remake on the Switch, and what would that take, right? I guarantee you, if they wanted to put it on the Switch, they've done an analysis of what that would take, the resources involved, the time it would take, what that would pull from, etc. And you know what that is? Money. It's always about money. So we'll see. Yeah. I think here, we're clear, and I know everyone who hangs out with us here knows this, right? Exclusivity is what it is. It's part of the business. At the end of the day, like we said, it's always just business. There's first party stuff. In terms of third party stuff, I always love to see all games on all platforms so the most people can play it. But I want to be clear that if you saw this timed exclusive and you automatically assumed or expected or think you're due Final Fantasy VII Remake on Xbox, then I don't think you're really paying close attention to the industry, because that's just not how it works.
Because I see something you see in the chat and whatever, like, Square hates Xbox. Square doesn't hate Xbox. Well, it's so childish, man. Like, no, it's just they look at what sells and what doesn't, and what the demographic is on this console versus this console. Like you guys just alluded to. It's not personal. They make it sound so personal. It's not. It's
business.
Money, man.
They might hate Xbox, but I still don't understand why that's personal.
I don't think they do, man.
It's a company not liking another company. You have nothing to do with it. It's as impersonal as you could imagine something to be impersonal.
This is true. By the way, I ran a poll real quick on the channel here. It just says, "Are you excited for Final Fantasy Rebirth and the continued story?" Got 61% saying yes. So almost 2/3 people saying
it's popular.
It is very popular.
I wish I cared for JRPGs, man, but yes. It's popular.
Speaking of, I started, not to get us off topic, but I started playing Tales of Arise last week, which is a pretty celebrated game, good review scores, celebrated series, and I got a few hours into it. I'm bored to tears.
Really?
You're going to be for another.
Didn't get a rise out of you, huh?
I think what it is, I was talking to the guys last night about this, for me personally, is that I'm such a Western RPG guy. When you think about Elden Ring, you think about Cyberpunk, you think about Witcher, you think about these big open world experiences where you kind of determine what you do, right? And you do it at your own pace. And like what I experienced with the new Dragon Quest 11 and Tales of Arise and a few others is like it wants you to do what it's going to have you do, because it's telling a choreographed story, which is fine, and people love that. It's just not for me. It's like you're going to go to this little area, you're going to pick up some crafting materials, fight a few enemies, have a boss battle, then you go to the next area and you do the same thing. And it's just, that doesn't do it for me anymore. I can't get into it. The only JRPG that I truly got into recently is Persona, funny enough, just because it's so different and crazy that I can, I truly love it. But all right, let's get to, got a few super chats to get to here. Bear with me. I saved this one. Sarko sent this one in a bit ago, but I saved it. I'm moving you back up, Travis. There we go.
Oh, that's nice of you. Final Fantasy, Final Schmantasy. Dan speaks truth. Give us Parasite Eve. With all the remakes, can we get a Skyrim remake built for the Xbox Series X? More Skyrim. Yeah. We need the 27th version of that game.
Oh, it'll come.
Although if it were a remake, it would actually be substantive, you would assume.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say it was upgraded for Series XS and PS5,
Yeah.
but
It's called Elder Scrolls 6. That's what it's going to be called, and we'll get it in 7 years.
2029.
Yeah,
Me and you are right on the same page. Perfect. Yeah,
Jesus.
Sarko is about the biggest Skyrim fan as you will find. So he's pumped for
Yes.
Starfield like many others right now.
I met that guy at GCX.
Yeah, you did.
Hung out with him a couple nights. He came to the live recording of our podcast that we did there. We played a duality dungeon together one of the nights in the hotel room. It was pretty good. That's awesome. A Destiny thing. But anyway, yeah, it was cool guy.
Awesome. Love to hear it.
Nice, man.
I've known Sarko for over a decade. No joke. I still haven't met him.
I know we talked about that.
Yeah, you met him before.
This is why we're real friends, Sarko. Ains doesn't care about you. He won't even come and meet you, dude. I flew all the way out to Florida just to hang with you, bro. So anyway.
The funniest part of that story is you flying to Florida, by the way. But we'll move on.
Brutal.
Go Gamer with the €5. Thank you again. The Xbox situation of JRPGs can only improve if Xbox becomes more dominant in Japan.
This is one of those. Yeah, this is one of those long running. Yeah, exactly. This is one of the long running kind of things that people discuss, and I think I don't know. I've spoken my piece on this before. I think that Xbox is, from a console perspective, is doing better in Japan right now than they have done in a very long time. So that's good to see. But consoles are not really the biggest market in Japan anymore. And, they're just a different culture in general. And I think I've said before that that's why the ecosystem play from Xbox around xCloud, around mobile devices, around access from anywhere is so critical because it gets them into these markets more effectively. They've never had a foothold in without the need of a console space. So that is evolving right before our eyes. So I think this conversation itself will continue to evolve over the next few years, personally.
Yeah.
I think it's true. JRPG, you do sort of need to be relevant in Japan for Japanese companies to want to put their game on your console. But in my mind, the Japanese market is more of like a prestige victory. It's not really like a substantive victory because it's not like
it's such a
Japan,
small piece.
It's a small piece of the market, one of the smallest, right? And it's not really like, oh, if you don't succeed in Japan, you have no business in this industry. Like there's plenty of companies that don't sell at all to Japan and do just fine. But it is one of those things like, Xbox wants it. They want that piece of it because it's got such a historical value. It's like conquering Jerusalem or something. It's like just that you got to get that piece of land in order to win it. And so I think that Xbox will keep trying. I don't know if they'll ever be successful because a lot of Japanese companies are super loyal. Their Japanese customers are super loyal to Japanese companies. They have a lot of nationalism there. So I don't know that they'll ever be successful, but yeah.
Ed Freeze himself said it. Who just interviewed him recently?
Luke did.
Luke, yes, that's right. Yeah, you guys should check that out. He said it himself in the interview with Luke. He talks about how just the Japanese market, they prefer their own, Sony or whatever, Nintendo or whatever it is. So yeah, it's going to be a tough cookie to crack. But I give Xbox a lot of credit, man. They haven't stopped. They just keep trying and trying.
And to Alvin in the chat's point right here, they just got the Team Ninja and game in their showcase. Wolong, is it Fallen Dynasty, I believe, which looks and sounds great. There was an interview. If you missed that, there was an interview earlier this week which gave more detail, and it sounds like it's going to be a Souls-like, Neo-like experience. So bring it on.
Oh yeah.
There was one other thing I was going to say. Damn it, I lost my train of thought. Darn it. Anyway, we'll get back to the last super chat we're holding here, which is Fat Boy Horror back.
Back again, yes, with the £5. Scarlet Nexus disagrees with your assumptions about Japanese games on Xbox.
It's an outlier. I disagree with that one. I mean, there's exceptions. It's not like no JRPGs have ever done well on Xbox, but they always do worse on Xbox. And I mean, some companies just, they don't even have an exclusivity deal. They just choose not to put their games on Xbox. So like that alone should tell you that there's a problem. And it probably just goes back to
Let me
where
ask
they
you
think they
something.
could sell to, or localization maybe. They just don't want to spend on localization to put it in English. I don't really know.
So is this because these companies learned their lesson from the 360 days? If you remember when the 360 launched, there was a heavy JRPG presence on it. They reached out to so many Japanese developers. They got a lot of JRPGs on there. So what happened there? I mean, did those not sell well? Is this all a consequence of the 360 generation? Because I really want to know myself.
I don't know.
I'm just taking a shot in the dark here because
I
don't
don't
know
know
if anybody knows the answer really.
Because I mean, it was attempted on the 360. There was a lot of JRPGs on the 360. Yeah. That's why.
I bet you I would be willing to bet part of it is sales, part of it is company strategies. Like if you're a developer, you could probably have your entire business model be just selling to your own countrymen, and they don't really want to expand out because then you got to get localization and you got to get third-party PR, and it kind of distracts you, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's probably everybody has their own logic to it, and to Fatboy Horror's point, some companies reject the mainstream kind of logic of Japanese game developers, and they go their own way. And some of those guys are successful, and some of them aren't. And so I don't know. It has
to be sales. It has to be sales, right? Because the 360 was very, very successful. It was incredibly successful. That's why, like, I'm just guessing. I have no idea why. But
I don't know if the games were successful though, right? Like you look at Lost Odyssey, you look at Blue Dragon. They had a relationship with Mistwalker at one point, right? Which was God, I'm gonna forget his name. Sakaguchi, maybe.
That was Blue Dragon, yeah.
Yeah, one of the original Final Fantasy creators, and they, to your point, Mo, they put a lot of effort into that and a lot of money. But I don't know if the
Odyssey was dope, by the way.
Yeah, people still promoting Lost Odyssey, but I don't know. One, if that paid off. Two, we all know what happened after Xbox 360, right? Xbox One kind of really kind of crushed the market there, and they did.
I also think
horrendous in Japan with the Xbox One. So I don't know. Maybe it's just been Sakaguchi.
I was also gonna say that part of it is probably that JRPGs as a genre were dying as well around the time of the Xbox 360 era, and now are pretty much all but dead. Like there are the occasional JRPG, but they used to be dominant, and especially in the West, they got replaced by Western RPGs. And I remember when Persona 5 came out, I felt like that was the only true old school JRPG around. And there are obviously some spikes where there will be occasional interest here and there, but it's nowhere near as dominant or as popular as it used to be. And that also might be part of it. Just, the genre itself is sort of not as prolific as it once was. So
you realize that I've got to cut out that clip, the only words that you say Japanese RPGs are dead. So that clip's going on Twitter for sure.
Perfect. Do it, man. Put it up there. I mean, there's certainly data around that. I think that's why people really liked Persona 5, because it reminded them of JRPGs that you really don't see a lot anymore. You don't see a lot of them.
Yeah, Persona 5 is amazing.
I would be willing to bet that that's part of the equation. It's just like the prominence and popularity of JRPGs in general probably waned as you got like your Mass Effects and some of your other like Western RPGs that hit the same kind of spot, but for a different audience. So I don't know, but yeah, I think we've all talked about it, but I think it is a mystery of the gaming industry. We're not really sure.
Yeah, and I would like to point out that Elden Ring is a Japanese RPG. Yeah,
it is, but JRPG fans wouldn't describe it that way. Old school JRPG fans. But what's funny is Japan calls it a JRPG. That's what it's in their minds. That's what it is. So
it is. Yeah. It's a Japanese-made role. I mean, if we're getting down the definitions, right? It's a Japanese.
Yeah, but JRPG has a specific definition within games. It's kind of a weird situation.
It is a Japanese-made RPG.
Yeah, Japanese-made.
I think that's where it ends.
Yeah, I'm trying to help the JRPG moniker by throwing Elden Ring at it. Right? Elden Ring can fix anything.
It does.
And we got one more super chat here from Mr. Iron Keg, who, if you don't know, is Mr. Elu Spook's twin brother.
Nice.
What? Thank you, sir. Cowboy Dudes, 6-player TMNT is intense. On another note, Final Fantasy VI is still the best.
Yes, it is.
Still the best.
Interesting.
All these young kids who started with Final Fantasy VII don't know. They don't know.
That's generally what I've heard, man. 6 or 8. 8 has like this, apparently one of the best antagonists. It's like this one that looks like it's wearing like this clown mask. I don't know what the hell it was called, unless I'm wrong. I don't know how Final Fantasy. I'm sorry, I have no idea. I don't know what the hell's the name of the
Literally
antagonist.
I don't
see
know,
anything.
I don't know, but I've always heard 6 and 8.
Probably there somewhere.
So,
6 and 8.
for me, it's always 6 and 9. 6 and 9.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, if we're being fair, 6, 4, and 9. The
Mhm.
SNES era, which here was 2 and 3, which is 4 and 6, obviously, are some of the goats in my opinion. But 9 was the best modern one. But I see a couple of people saying 9 is king. Let's go. Yeah. All right. We got the super chats. Man, we got into a whole different discussion there. So now I'm trying to catch up on my notes. Okay. So a couple other Final Fantasy 7 announcements as part of the celebration. So we got Final Fantasy 7 Crisis Core Reunion, which, if you're not aware, according to my notes, and again, I'm no expert here, so please correct me. I know you will if I mess this up, but is a prequel to Final Fantasy 7. It was originally released on the PlayStation Portable, the PSP, in 2007. So that is being remade and coming to all consoles, funny enough, including Xbox and Switch and PC. That's coming later this year, winter of 2022. Then, as I mentioned, Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate launched on PC on Friday, so the kind of the best latest edition with the upgrades and little DLC elements launched on PC. And then there's a Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis mobile game, which is coming next year. There's going to be beta testing later this year. So whole bunch. If you like Final Fantasy VII, and it's one of those games you adore, you like the remake, you like the original, what have you, there's an awful lot of Final Fantasy VII coming your way. So,
also, can I say that Snitch has not missed yet? The Twitter account.
Snitch, he must be stopped.
He has not missed yet, bro. He has not missed. He put up that picture of.
I know.
I had no idea that it was 2 characters from Final Fantasy. I think Aerith was one of them in the background, and immediately, he put blue, green, blue, green, red, and black, and people right away, obviously the Final Fantasy diehards are like, "Holy shit, it's Crisis Core." Well, there you go. Crisis Core game. I'm telling you, this guy's being hunted down. It's crazy. I don't know what's going on.
If you're not aware of what he's talking about, there's a guy who popped up on Twitter a couple weeks ago. He has a total of like 17 tweets. That's all, and each one is a leak for a video game, and every single one has been right. And he has like the biggest ratio of tweets to followers you've ever seen. He has like 17 tweets and like 50,000 followers now. Because people, what they're assuming is that he's someone who works at Google or works at YouTube and is seeing what's uploaded to YouTube privately, and he's snitching. So his account is called the Snitch. So if you're not aware of this, it's kind of whether it depends on where you land on leaks, right? If you don't like leaks, you're not going to like him. But yes, he's definitely someone that has some very, very inside knowledge, like access to YouTube. Yeah, it's crazy.
Stay tuned.
All right, so let's
Spencer.
jump over. Phil Spencer, yeah, he's leaking that the games aren't coming to his platform. Like,
that's right. Yeah.
Let's jump over to the other showcases. So we did get the Xbox Extended Showcase this week. Funny enough, as Hoeg kind of ranted about the Xbox Showcase itself last week, I saw him post that he did really like the Extended Showcase, which was funny. So I'll shout that out. I'll also shout out that if you watch the Extended Showcase at the beginning, they showed some video footage of the FanFest event in LA, and our boys Dash and Kevin from NXS Cast. Dash has guested on Bitcast before. They were right there in the video, which was pretty cool to see. So
Sims.
Yeah, they were PlayStation guys, but I think Xbox is winning them over. They're buying their fans out one by one. They're acquiring fans, you could say.
Yes, you do. Yeah. You hire them.
There you go. Part of this showcase, so we did get a few kind of new game announcements, and then you got updates on a bunch of different games that were shown at the showcase. So the new announcements were that Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So we got the first gameplay from that, which it's kind of a horror renaissance.
You're excited about that.
I am, yes. I don't like it as much as Evil Dead or others. Like, I'm not a big Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan, but just horror in general. So that's cool. It's coming next year, launches next year. It is coming to Game Pass at launch as well. Valheim, which is a game that kind of got very popular on PC last year, is coming to PC Game Pass this year, coming to console and Xbox first next year. So pretty cool. Fall Guys goes free to play. Just a reminder, Fall Guys goes free to play on all platforms, including Xbox and Switch this Tuesday as we're recording, or you're listening to this. And the following week, they announced a Halo crossover of all things in Fall Guys from June 30th to July 4th, where you can get a Master Chief skin, an Escharum skin, and I think a Grunt, and maybe one more. There's 4, I think.
I really hope they're available for purchase, man.
Oh, me too.
I don't want to earn that shit. I really don't. Just let me buy them, man, because I suck. I'm not going to win. Just let me freaking buy them.
People are like, why do you have to pay for everything? Mo's like, I don't want to earn it. Just let me buy it.
Because I'm not going to
win. I'm literally never going to play this game again.
I recognize my limitations. I think it's fun, honestly. I tried it on PlayStation. It's a fun game, especially if you play it with friends. But, like, I'm not going to win, man. I stink. Just let me buy them. Let me be happy.
This is not a joke. To that point, Mo, I bought when they put Master Chief and Marcus Phoenix back in the Fortnite store, like, what, a month ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that. I bought them both. So I spent $45 on those 2 skins. I haven't played Fortnite since. Not once. Not one time. I spent $45 for skins I've never used.
Yes.
I would guess, Mo, if it's going free to play, that they will be more than happy to sell you whatever skins you want. I think that's probably their business model now.
No that's
doubt.
Definitely. Yeah. Good point.
And then we got more on a bunch of games. We got, Redfall. Pete Hines came out to talk about Redfall and Starfield. We got more on As Dusk Falls. We got other little announcements like an update on Slime Rancher 2, which, a little indie game, but a lot of people love that series. That's coming later this year to Game Pass.
I'm gonna play that game, let me tell you.
And then they closed it off with a pretty I guess what's the word you want here? Harrowing or sobering look at Stalker 2 and what that development team is going through being in the Ukraine, which is just wild. So, I mean, obviously the atrocities kind of going on around the world and other areas, but also Ukraine right now. They kind of gave you a very, very brief glimpse into what that team's dealt with. So that game has been obviously pushed to 2023. There's no set date right now, but if you haven't watched that segment, it's about 6 minutes long, if I recall correctly. Please go watch it. It's really good. Good being, meaningful, I guess, is a better word than good. So anyway, I wanted to ask you guys on the showcase here, whether announcements that I just mentioned or in general, we've talked before, and I know we talked last week around how do companies properly set up these big E3 style showcases, right? And how do they meet the expectations of the majority of fans? You're never going to please everyone, but how do you meet the expectations where the showcase itself shows you lots of gameplay, lots of games coming that you want to see, but that to people like Hoeg and others who want to learn more about the games, learn more about development, get more into the details, you can't really combine those two because either way, you're going to be displeasing one group, right? So what do you guys think about how Xbox did this year where they took this 90-minute showcase again? They did all games, a lot of gameplay, what's coming soon or soonish. And then they did a follow-up showcase for another hour and a half, 2+ hours, where they had a few announcements, but they really kind of dove in with developers and interviews and deep dives on some of the games. Did you like this? Did you like this setup or not really?
Yes, I liked it a lot.
Okay.
My only concern is with a lot of people, what they want from that initial announcement is lots of like big logos and quote unquote mic drops, which is hard to do if you're focusing on games coming out in the next 12 months and showing a lot of gameplay. So really, I think the medicine is if Xbox can stick with this model for a couple more years, eventually you'll be seeing gameplay and announcements of games coming out in 12 months that have not been announced yet. And that's the best of both worlds. If you didn't know that Redfall was coming and then all of a sudden they open the show and they just show a bunch of Redfall gameplay, that in my book is way better than if you see a logo, 2 years ago, and then the game's in development and then all of a sudden you see gameplay like way later. And so I think Xbox has to like hold the line almost if they want this model to work out. They have to deal with the fact that people aren't going to be that excited for the next couple of years because it'll all be games that have already been announced. But eventually they'll get to that ideal state in my mind of like both big surprises and gameplay focused showcases that aren't just CGI trailers. So they have to stick with it if they want that to happen. And I hope that they will, because I think that in terms of the model that they did, I have some problems with the games that they showed, and that has a lot to do with COVID and delays and them showing things that are in my opinion, not ready to show publicly. But I like the format better than they've ever done it, both in the way they focused on gameplay and big announcements one day and then had deep dives. I think that should be the model going forward, and I hope that they'll stick with it.
I really like your point. I know you made that last week too, but I didn't call it out. I think that's a very insightful point around if they stick with this model, then the showcase itself, the main showcase itself, will evolve back into the type of showcase that has major blockbuster announcements, because it's going to catch up with development time. Right now, it's behind the 8 ball on development time because of COVID, like you said, and everything else. So they showed, you had Redfall, you had Starfield. I don't want to downplay those things. I mean, these are huge games. Starfield is a massive game. Redfall, you had Forza, etc. But to your point, little limited. We didn't get to see all those kind of big IPs that people are hoping for out of Xbox, like Avowed, like a Fable, like In Exile's project, et cetera, et cetera. But that will catch up over time if you allow it to. The question is, Xbox, as you know, has shifted their showcase to try and meet fan response, which is a good thing, right? They absolutely listen. But, and I know you've said this before as well, Travis, sometimes listening to fans can get you in trouble. And so
usually, I would argue.
So I think they have to be really careful of walking the line here of, trying to please fans, but you can't please everyone, and they have to accept that they can't please everyone, right? So stick to your guns a little bit. But I put a poll up of for our chat whether or not you like the way Xbox did the showcase this year. Let us know. And Mo, what do you think, man?
Yeah, they I agree with Travis and you, to be honest with you. I don't want to echo both of what you guys said, but if this is a way for them to kind of subvert attention away from the fact that some of these projects are going to take a long time to come, where their format will just be, hey, every time we do these shows, it's going to be these 12 months and that's it. Yeah, that's a smart idea, man. Plus, like, it keeps expectations in check. I think that was pretty good, because after the show was over, and you remember I was talking to you, we were talking in the group chat, and I was like, hey, where's Fable? Where's Avowed? Yeah. There was a lot of rumors about Avowed. Where's Hellblade? Where's whatever? So I think maybe next June, next June when they do this show, then they'll be like, then we'll probably see Fable, Avowed, whatever it is, and it'll catch up eventually, like you said. I don't really, this is just me personally, a supplemental show at the end, just like deep dives with development and whatnot. I mean, it doesn't really do much for me personally. It doesn't matter who does it. I mean, sometimes it's cool to see these, these deep dives, depending on, how much you care for it or how much you care about development and whatnot, but the new announcements would be, if I don't know how many new announcements they made the second day. Did they? I don't think there was there was 3. Okay.
Yeah.
The ones I said, Mo. So Valheim, Fall Guys, Halo, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and like I said, some other smaller indie things that popped up.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a good. If you got nothing to do, I think it's cool. I mean, it's if you're really interested in game development and whatnot. Sometimes it's nice. Yeah. No, I'm saying, like, if you're bored and you just got nothing to do, I think it would be nice. But I'm all about show me, but just my opinion. I just like showcase.
Mo, we should hire you to advertise for this show. Yeah. Hey, if you're bored and you've got nothing to do, you're really
Bitcast every Sunday.
If you're at the bottom of your life and you're just sort of ready to call it quits, you're just
if you're
go ahead and log on to Bitcast.
That's not what I meant. No, basically, let me reiterate this. The showcase
is the worm in your tequila. The Bitcast every Sunday.
Yeah. Showcase is a must-see, right? Like, that is what you should watch. And then something like the supplemental show is just like, it's cool. It's there. There wasn't really too many big things, but obviously, like you said, the documentary about Stalker and a few other things that were on there. But yeah, it's cool, man. Didn't they have is that where they talked about the Forza ray tracing? Was it on that as well?
No.
No,
That was
Forza
a
held-
separate thing. Okay.
Forza
Yeah.
held their own thing 2 days ago, actually. Yeah, with Chris Sasaki. Really good dude, by the way. If you don't follow him, you should, because he's got a small number of followers on Twitter, which is bizarre because the dude's awesome. He's the creative director of Turn 10, and he's the one who hosted the Forza showcase when they gave more details out about that. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
So it's cool, man.
Dan, what do you think, man? I know that you were kind of more, if correct me if I'm wrong, more along the lines of Hoeg, where the showcase didn't really do too much for you. Do these extended showcases do anything for you?
I like them better. I like it when they do a little bit more of a deep dive than just show me. Even if you just show me like some CGI, some gameplay, I want to see the the mechanics behind it. Like what, especially for like a bigger game like an RPG or something like that. Like how does this work? How like kind of more like what they did with Starfield. I guess at the end, I'd like to see more of that.
That I like. Yes.
Yeah, that kind of stuff is, but it doesn't have to be super long. They just say this is how you build this character. This is how you're going to be. And it could just be 3 or 4 minutes, and I'd be good with that. This is a nice, I guess, supplemental stuff. To be honest with you, I have no idea what I want to see half the time. I just want to, it's like, oh, that's cool. Maybe we can get like a 1 month, once a month kind of thing, like a small where they focus on like one game. I mean, you've got a ton of studios now. You should be able to maybe give updates on like, this is where we're at with Fable. It's only 10 minutes, but we'll talk with the developer for a second. This is what we can show you, or just something small, and actually bring us with you on this. Bring us with you on the journey to development. Like really get me. Just pick a game. It's like, hey, this is what we did this month with this game, and you can make like a documentary out of it. We got like the God of War one, which I loved, like the Raising Kratos, that was like, you can do that not necessarily live, but you can do like a monthly show or just like a little thing where the gamer actually comes with the developers and sees what it's like and the stuff they run into, the different, problems that they have, but the different solutions and how they figure this out and how this system is working. That's the kind of stuff I love really kind of watching and looking into, like and getting to meet some of the people that are really just nameless faces, not even faces, they're just nameless whatever. We don't know who these people are that are developing the games we love, and kind of put us more, I guess, get us closer to those people. That's what I would like to see. I don't think that's ever going to happen because people are incredibly, toxic and I hate that word. I hate it so much. But I mean, they would find a way to just, completely crush,
make it negative. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the idea though, because what if I understand you, what you're saying is basically have like an Xbox monthly showcase, and each month you just pick one of the games in development and give a 10 to 15 minute look and chat with the developers to say, hey, here's what's going on, here's what we're thinking. That'd be awesome. I would love that.
I mean, I would love to see it from any studio. It doesn't have to necessarily just anybody. It would be, I mean, get us, we think we know all this stuff about game development. We think we know as gamers, just enjoying our hobby, that we know, well, this is what these guys go through. These, but we don't. I mean, I don't know that all that much. Maybe you guys know more, but I'd like to see more in-depth stuff, like how the inner workings work behind the scenes. What goes into developing a system of the combat or base building or whatever it is in that game. So I think they could do something like that, and I think it'd be really popular. At least it would be with me. So, we don't get to see that enough. We hear, we get like the delay. This is delayed. The delay tweet, and then we get maybe a couple people from a studio saying, yeah, this is what's happening. But it's never that tangible. You never really get to interact with it. A lot. It's just kind of like, all right, whatever. It's coming in whenever it comes, and I don't know, man. It's like this kind of thing. It was good. I mean, I'm glad they did this. I would have liked to have seen it more, I guess, integrated with the actual showcase. Because hell, I mean, I don't know why they put like limits on their time either. Like, let's make an all day thing, man. Just make it like FanFest, but in your house. I mean, you could just do it for like 8 hours. And weave into just please no content creators and weird cheerleaders. I don't need
influencers. Yeah. Keep it to the people who are kind of in the development or in leadership and know what they're talking about.
I think each one of these presentations that Dan is proposing should be hosted by The Rock from his gym.
Brought to you by Zoa.
Sponsored by Zoa.
Sponsored by Zoa. You know what else I was thinking about the 12-month model that the Xbox employed, and I hope that they'll continue to do. It could save them from a lot of bad PR. Like, how many articles have you read about like the Scalebound situation, right? A game that definitely got announced too soon, right? And they kept showing it. So I would hope that if they take this sort of model, it could defend them from having these things happen where a game gets canceled because they showed it 5 years before it was supposed to come out or whatever the heck, and then it comes back to bite them again and again and again. I mean, they're going to be hearing about Scalebound like 10 years from now because they showed it so many times and they canceled it.
The game didn't even look good. Can we stop with this game already?
I'm with you, but like to your point, the reason it didn't look good is because they announced it too early and we were seeing gameplay like years before it was supposed to come out. And I just think they probably learned their lesson to a certain extent about just announcing games too early.
Yeah.
I would hope.
Yeah. Yeah, we would hope. Yeah. Yeah, I think there's some fair points there. I don't know. It doesn't feel like there's, again, any kind of silver bullet in terms of a golden bullet, golden arrow, whatever the hell you want to say, whatever phrase, on how to do this showcase. Like I said last year, even though many of us celebrated last year's showcase and kind of the format and the pace and how many announcements, and we all really loved it, it does circle back to the criticism of you showed a bunch of stuff that's not even going to be out in years to come. So I do like the approach this year. I do agree with you, Travis, that if they stick with it, it'll kind of grow into
Golden
its own
age.
format. In the future, which is cool. I also do personally like the extended showcase. I know Dan just stepped away, but he asked why couldn't they kind of make it part of the thing or do it right after? And I think it's because a lot of the conversations, like I know the sit down with Pete Hines and the sit down with another group, it might have been the Dust Falls group, I think. They did those like in LA, you know what I mean? Like they're doing those live. So I think between kind of the Xbox Showcase Fan Fest and then this other thing, like trying to schedule all that back to back would be near impossible. So I think that's why they separated out a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyway, on the poll, it looks like, did you like Xbox's showcase setup this year with the split between main and extended? We got 3/4 of people said yes. So I would like to hear from the 25% who said no. Just curious as to, did you prefer last year's setup? Did you prefer, I mean, they had an extended showcase last year too. But the showcase itself was obviously structured differently. So I'd like to hear in the chat why you didn't like it, if anyone wants to kind of speak on that.
During E3, they also did something similar. They would like have their showcase, and then throughout the week, they would do a show from the E3 show floor where they would talk about games and do interviews and stuff. So I feel like this is them just trying to take their E3 model and bring it into a remote first kind of age. But
when I think to that point, remember we talked last week and Hoeg brought up the fact that with E3 you had the showcases, right? But then you had 3 days of coverage from outlets like IGN and all the major outlets, excuse me, and independent outlets like Season Gaming and other smaller places, which kind of helped spread out that coverage over a 4 to 5 day span. And I think to your point, Xbox and others are trying to figure out how the hell do we replicate that in this model? And this is they're trying their best. It's certainly not easy. And think of the difference you have there, right? You are the company producing these things and marketing these things. And now what we're asking basically is for you also to publicize all of these things. Whereas previously you had all these other major media organizations and even smaller media organizations publicizing them for you more acutely. Which those two things don't meet, right? They don't meet in the middle. So that's a tough challenge to overcome.
Yeah, that's what, like, not to self-promote, but like the IGN Summer of Games, I think, is trying to do that. It's trying to like hey, here's all these games that we know are going to get announced at this time. Let's try to cover as many of them as we can early and get that information out around the time that we would have gotten it during the E3 window. But to I think Hoeg's point last week, and certainly of concern to you and the Seasoned Gaming crew, is like that means that only the biggest outlets get access, and there's not as much coverage. And also, IGN doesn't do as good of a job with their remote. You know, we can only send so many emails and call some people on the phone before they just say no. When you're on the E3 floor, you can bang on doors and make people talk to you, and
quite literally.
Something quite literally. Yeah. I used to do it all the time. Yeah, so I'm sure you did too. But yeah, it hits different, and I really hope we get an in-person conference next year. That would be beautiful. So
yeah, one of these days, not to stay on it right now, but one of these days we'll have to talk about some E3 experiences. You and I will, from different perspectives, right? You're going as part of the biggest gaming media organization in the world, and I went as one of the literally unknown smallest independent outlets, and the difference.
So I have gone as both though, and so I know your pain. I've gone as like just some regular outlet that nobody knows, and like the experience is so much different than when you have the IGN badge. Like people will roll out the carpet for you. It's unreal. It's so different. Because I remember like, you know, sometimes they made me wait in line with like the fans. I was like, why am I in line for these? Like I'm press, you know, but
just get like an IGN pin or something and just, you know, put it on you. And just,
I have an IGN pin actually. I used to wear on my lapel when I'd go places, and people would recognize the logo. Of course you did. So. Dude, you gotta do what you can, man. You gotta use what weapons you have to knock down doors.
We'll talk about more some other time. But it's someone in the chat said we need E3 back, and I think if you've listened to this show enough, you know me and Travis are very much in the camp of E3 needs to come back. And you know, like I said it last week too. Regardless of the ESA's handling of things, they're not a great organization. They have issues. You know, there's lots of issues that they could work through. But E3 as a format is just a much different experience for a number of reasons. And I think by now, 2 years in, I would hope that most people have realized that what we have happening right now has not fulfilled what E3 really used to represent. So anyway, super chat Dan from Mr. Gio Rio is back in the house.
Yeah, love the M Helm. Ains, do you still have the statue? Random question. What type of games do you guys prefer to play on PC versus console? Dying Light 2 DLC September? ?
Okay.
The zombie?
Yeah. So we got 3 different comments. What's the M Helm? Am I missing something?
Master Helm? Master Chief, maybe?
Maybe.
You have a lot of Master Chief helmets?
You got a lot of stuff.
I'm sorry. I've got so much. Yeah, I got a lot of stuff. Yes. Well, you said if you still have the statue, I could say yes because I've never sold a statue. So whatever statue you're referring to, I still have.
This right here, is that what he's talking about? Maybe I don't know.
Oh, the Millennia helmet. Yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah. So that is Mo and I got very lucky. If you're not aware, in Europe only, they made a ultra collector's edition for Elden Ring that they only made 6,000 of in total for the world. And him and I both were lucky enough to know friends and people who were able to get us one. But it's super, super rare. Yeah. They already go. What do they go for, Mo? Like $1,000 or something? Like,
yeah.
Wow.
You guys won't sell, which is crazy to me.
I know, bro. I know.
You don't want to get me a Mo started on collectibles, dude. It's like we need storage houses, and
guys have problems.
It's a problem. Dying Light 2 DLC in September. Yeah, so Dying Light 2 is one of those games I dropped off of really quick. You reviewed it, didn't you, Travis?
I did review it. I played the whole game. And also, shout out to the team there, Techland. They actually recently sent me a box with a bunch of stuff because I also reviewed Dying Light 1, and they announced that after 7 years, they're going to stop supporting that game. So they sent me a box of it's been fun. Like a picture frame with all the a photo of all the cast members from Dying Light 1. And they sent me one of those Polaroid cameras that that actually prints the photo when you take it. Those OG
Yeah.
Polaroid
Oh, that's
photos.
cool, man.
And they sent me that so that I could take a picture of
OG.
myself with the game, and they're gonna put it on like their wall at their office.
That's cool.
Like happy
That's cool.
memories from Dying Light 1. So shout out to that team. That team is always so fun and creative and really cool. And my review on Dying Light 2 was a little harsh because it launched out the gate super buggy, but I really like that game. I have no doubt it's a better game now than it was when it came out and when I reviewed it. But yeah, I'm excited. To answer your question, yes, Dying Light 2 DLC. I will hopefully play it or maybe even review it because that game's awesome.
There you go. Very cool. All right, so we will move over to the Capcom showcase. Capcom just firing on all cylinders. They held their own showcase this week, so a few big announcements actually. So we'll start with Dragon's Dogma 2 being in development. So 10 years after the first game release, which is a pretty beloved kind of cult classic game, we get an announcement that part 2 is coming. Hideaki Itsuno is leading development, and it will be developed on the RE engine, which I know Mo mentioned earlier. It's just everything they seem to develop in that engine looks beautiful. So hopefully that turns out the same way for this. I am no expert on this. I will fully admit that Dragon's Dogma is one of those gaps in my gaming. I have never played it, but
so
I hear
good.
that's what I hear from a lot of people. So, yeah, so if someone take me away here because I can't speak intelligently to this.
I mean, there's not much to talk about since they literally just showed a logo.
They showed a logo, yes.
Yeah, Dragon Dogma's 1 is super good, very underrated, and unique in its genre. It's also always on sale, so if you haven't played it, you can play it now. They did a remaster last year of the game, or maybe 2 years ago. But
Dark Arisen, I think it's called, right?
Yeah. There's a remaster version of the game, and yeah, I will play Dragon's Dogma 2. That sounds great. So yeah, we don't know much about it, but it's awesome to see that they're doing another one. So
yeah, the only thing they mentioned is Itsuno is leading development, and that they mentioned 2 other big names from Dragon's Dogma 1 that are part of the team for 2. So
cool.
It seems to be on the surface in good hands. To the point we were just talking about with the Xbox showcase. They come out, they announce this, they know it's a fan favorite thing, they show a logo. And it immediately made me think of Metroid Prime 4, right? Like, we get a logo, and here we are years later, and we still have no idea what's going on with that game.
Or Mass Effect 4. Yeah, I mean, there's so
Elder
many
Scrolls.
Elder Scrolls 6.
Elder Scrolls. There's no way we're going to see anything of that game for at least 2 or 3 more years.
So it's like,
weird.
You know, this feels like one of those announcements you do. I mean, obviously they're committed to making the game, which is great, but it feels like you do it for fan service without really being anywhere in development. I mean, we just heard that Elder Scrolls 6 is in beginning pre-production, which essentially means they're starting the writing and artwork on the game for a game they showed a teaser for, what was it, 4 years ago?
Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Was it 4 really? Oh, right. Because it was pre-COVID. It was pre-COVID.
2018. I think it was. It was the Bethesda 2018.
No, it was the COVID. The COVID show is when they announced it.
No, it was before that.
It must have been 2019.
Wasn't it? Well, I thought it was the last E3, whatever that was.
That was
2018.
No, it wasn't. Because I was in the room for that. I don't think I was in the room for the.
Someone tell us, chat. You're smarter than all the 4 of us.
Yeah.
Tell us when the teaser was shown for Elder Scrolls 6.
That game's not coming out until like
June 2018. Bethesda conference.
Really? It wasn't that show?
Yes, bro. Yes, it was 4 years ago.
Can you think about that for a second? Not to completely take us off track, right? 4 years ago they teased, and any of us who knew, right, said that was stupid. They shouldn't have done that because obviously this game is many years away.
Vaporware.
But 4 years ago, and they just announced this week that it's in pre-production. Like, it's not even in active development. That's wild to me.
I feel like they announced it in 2018 because people would not stop asking them if there's going to be another Elder Scrolls or when there's going to be. Like. And they did the same thing with Fallout 5. Now they've announced Fallout 5 is coming after Elder Scrolls 6. So that means Fallout 5, we're going to see a logo in like 5 years, and then we'll have to wait another 5 after that to get the game. So I feel like they're a studio that has to announce that a thing's coming, otherwise people will not stop asking them about it. So maybe that's it.
It's wild, man.
Terrible idea though. They should just not announce things. You know what's funny though is you're seeing studios do this more and more, just confirm the game without showing things, because Rockstar did it with Grand Theft Auto. They just like randomly were like, by the way, yes, of course, we're going to make Grand Theft Auto 6. And then they have not even shown us a logo. They just literally said we're working on it. So it's interesting.
Rockstar does what they want. You know, we've said that before. They don't care.
But I feel like there is pressure. There's pressure for them to just confirm that they're working on it. That's it.
I agree. There's pressure. I don't think they feel it. I honestly don't think they care.
I think you're right, because they're Rockstar and they act like rock stars, right? But here's why I think they announced Grand Theft Auto 6. They have to recruit people to build the game. And I think that people want to know what game you're working on, and I think that that's why Bethesda probably announced, Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5, because they're hiring up for those projects as well. And you announce the game, and then you can do your job postings, and it's clear what you're working on. And so they're just sort of like pulling off the Band-Aid early and be like, yeah, we're working about it, but we're not going to do a reveal. And maybe that's the right way to do it. I don't know, but that I would be willing to bet that that's why these announcements happen, is just so that they can hire staff.
I was just going to, no, I think it's a very fair point. I mean, to your point, if you're a aspiring developer or someone looking to move into the industry or someone looking to expand your career, what game stands out above Grand Theft Auto 6 being on your resume? For sure. But as we said before, and if people aren't aware, I know I've said this before, let's not forget that 2 of essentially the 3 critical leaders of Rockstar are gone. They're not at Rockstar anymore. Including the co-writer of Grand Theft Auto 5, Red Dead Redemption 2, and one of the lead. Actually, it might have been both co-writers. I know it's one of the Hauser brothers, and then I forget the other guy who sued Rockstar. So it's messy over there, man. I'm gonna be very curious to see what Grand Theft Auto 6 is actually like when it does come out, and it's probably tied into why it's taking so long.
And I think they'll probably just add more stuff.
Benzies. That's it. Thank you, Beast. Benzies.
Remake or enhancements for Red Dead Redemption 2. They're probably gonna announce a few things, just to bridge us until GTA 6.
Yeah.
You think so?
I don't know, man.
Rockstar usually just says we're working on a game, you'll play it in 10 years, and we can live off of the money from our live service, until that happens. Like, they're not hurting for money.
No, definitely not.
Makes more money than like every game.
It's not because they're obviously it's not because of they're hurting for money. I think it's just to satiate the appetites of their fans. I mean, especially there's a lot of people that are asking for a Red Dead Redemption 2 enhancement. I mean, they're not going to enhance it free for you. We already know that. They're just going to make an enhanced version and sell it for $60, and people are still going to buy it. And the cycle is going to continue until GTA 6 comes.
$70 on PlayStation.
Yeah, Red Dead 2 is in that elite pantheon of games for me, where it's like Last of Us 1. It's like, oh, it's a remake. It's $70. Where do I send my money? You got me. I'm done. Yep,
you guys
got me.
Part of the problem.
I know.
Absolutely.
I'm very well aware of this. Yeah, I mean, the other rumor, remember, to Mo's point, is Red Dead 1 remake in the Red Dead 2 engine. That's the other kind of swirling rumor, which I could certainly see. But I just want a Red Dead 2 remaster, or you know what I mean, upgrade, whatever.
So that one would make sense because Red Dead 1's events are so critical to the story of Red Dead 2. You kind of want to preserve Red Dead 1 as a game, and it is getting harder to play that game.
And let's not forget that Red Dead 1 is the sequel to Red Dead 2. It is as ridiculous as that is, that's the nature.
It's like the Kingdom Hearts thing. Yeah.
All right, calm down. It's not that crazy. All right.
It is not. You can get yelled at for playing Kingdom Hearts 2 after 1, which is a crazy thing to me. So
that was one of the funniest conversations we've had on here, by the way, because I know what you're referencing. Yeah. Basically, Travis got yelled at because he played Kingdom Hearts in the numbered order that you're supposed to.
Did.
Or that
I played them in the numbered order, and somebody was like, "You idiot! How dare you? It doesn't make any sense when you do that." And I was like, Yes.
Like it matters.
F me, right, for playing the game in the numbered order. Jesus.
Play that series in any order you want to, and then you would still be confused.
Still won't make sense.
Like,
Yeah,
it
that's
don't
exactly
make any
right,
sense.
Dan. It's one of the most. It's like that and Metal Gear Solid are the most difficult franchises to follow. And I played all the games of both those franchises, and I still barely know what's going on in either of them. So
I'm with you, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell's happening.
Brian said, "I will buy Red Dead Redemption 2 again. You and me both, my friend."
I prefer one. They should remake one. That's not a bad idea.
No.
We're
Yeah.
not gonna have this battle right now. I don't want.
No, I mean I like two better, but one needs a remake
okay.
more. That's what
I
I'm
agree.
saying.
I agree.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I agree. That's fair. That's fair. Okay. We almost went down a dark path there.
No, I'm not saying one is better than two.
No, come on.
I'm not Hoeg.
I'm trying.
Hoeg would be like, well, actually, I think they're both pretty subpar games. They'd be like, oh, Hoeg. Yeah.
So we're back to Cap. I don't know if we got over to Rockstar. Back to Capcom Showcase. We then got Resident Evil news, a bunch of Resident Evil news. So if you weren't aware, 2, 3, and 7, as we quickly mentioned earlier, got Series console and PS5 upgrades. So you can check those out now. And then Resident Evil Village, we got all the news on finally for the expansion and other things. So Shadows of Rose is the Resident Evil Village expansion. It's coming October 28th. It is an actual sequel to Village, where you play as the daughter, Rose. And it's in third person, so it's more like traditional Resident Evil. And according to the press release, it says it will have Rose entering the consciousness of the, I'm going to mess this word up, consciousness of the Megamycete. Is that how you pronounce that? Anyone know?
That's okay. That's okay. We get it.
Yeah, you got it. A place where
Just
time
throw
and
some
space
letters together and they make it sound like it's something.
So it's essentially going into the because I don't want to spoil anything, but the heart of Resident Evil Village, if you get to the end of Resident Evil Village, it actually plays all the way back to what started Resident Evil, which was kind of crazy at the beginning, and some good story backtelling there. But it looks like this is going to be more of a psychological / kind of supernatural horror that plays into that, which looks really interesting to me. So I'm pretty pumped for that. They also announced that the game that kind of failed and fell on its face out of the gate, the RE-verse, that multiplayer Resident Evil co-op experience, that's going to relaunch on October 28th, the same day. Resident Evil Village itself, the core game, is getting a third-person mode, which kind of crazy and interesting because those games were designed, 7 and 8, designed as first-person games. And then lastly, Lady Dimitrescu is going to be playable in the Mercenaries mode. So she's coming to, we don't want to have to touch on her popularity. But a lot of stuff coming for Village, which is, great to see that Capcom continues to support Resident Evil in profound ways.
Yeah. Nope. Nope.
Yeah, you're still not in. You still can't bring you in.
You know what? The other day, I was on one of the storefronts, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll just, if they have like a bundle and it's on sale, maybe I'll pick them up, because they all got, basically I saw the updates came out, right? And I was like, okay, maybe I can play these and it'll look really nice and I'll see what I can do. I'll try it out. And that didn't last.
I'll bring you the disc. Oh, you actually bought it?
No. I backed out. Like if there's like a sale at some point, I might go back and grab some of these things. Because I know they have like a Resident Evil.
Bring in the disc.
No. It's not, I'm not that hard up to lose my stuff. So, but I mean, this is great for fans. I don't know what the hell Mercenaries is.
Mercenaries?
Don't remember. Yeah, no.
It's been in like every Resident Evil game since 5.
Okay.
It's actually pretty good too. I like it.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
But I mean, it's nice to get the
Resident
upgrades.
Evil 6.
Is it? Yeah. That's where it started. That was the birth.
Yeah. Well, Hoeg's not here, but he did tell me he's extremely excited for this. He feels that Village is underrated and underappreciated, and that the expansion will probably only make it better. And it could potentially end up being his favorite Resident Evil ever. So that's official quotes from our DMs. So
that's right.
Yeah. I loved Village, man. I think it's freaking. I think it's amazing.
What do you think of Resident Evil 6, Mo?
Yeah. I
Did you
never
play
cared
it?
to. I never cared to try it, man.
You
Yeah,
never
I
cared
never-
to try it? Well, let me tell you, a
No.
guy who's played through the entire game. And by the way, I just want to point this out. I watched that video again because you clipped it, Ains, of him
Yes.
talking about Resident Evil 6.
Yep.
And he makes it clear that he did not play the game because he didn't play the whole game. He claims that it's better, but like I was talking about how there's 4 paths, and he like doesn't know that in that video. And I'm like, wait, hold on. I played through the entirety of Resident Evil 6, like all of the different paths, and I feel like he maybe played through 1 because the game has 4 storylines.
That's
It has
surprising.
I
has
haven't
three-
played all 4 either.
It has
I'll fully
3
admit.
storylines. All 3 of them are bad, and then you unlock a 4th one when you beat all 3, where you play as Ada Wong, and that one is also bad. That like it. Oh my god.
I think I don't know why. To your point, it's very widely accepted that 6 is a bastardization of Resident Evil.
Yes,
It's not Resident Evil. Yeah,
it really isn't. Yeah, it's even 5 has like a kind of a cult following, and I'm sort of part of it. To be honest, I kind of stan Resident Evil 5. It's just so stupid. I like it a lot. I don't know.
I played 5 in co-op with a friend through the whole thing, and
It's fun in co-op.
I haven't played it since then. I have the red Xbox 360 upstairs, like the RE5 bundle, but I haven't played that game since it launched. But I enjoyed it when I played it, but I don't remember it.
I think 5 and 6 will eventually get the remake or whatever the hell. They'll probably get.
You think 6 will?
I think it will probably be done to like a complete rebranding of the story or of the game itself, like a full
they would
remake.
have to change so much, dude.
I don't think they care, dude, because you're talking another.
Resident Evil 6 is the game that made them reboot. Like that's where they looked in the mirror and they saw Jesus for a second. They were like, we need to redo everything. And then they did Resident Evil 7 in that. I mean, that sort of changed everything.
Is this true? I don't know if this is true. So,
oh my god, dude! It's like, okay, so the Jake storyline, you play Albert Wesker's son. Spoiler, and it like in it, you literally you can just, because you're like a super soldier, you know, like Wesker was, you can just like punch things and kick them, and like each one is supposed to be different. Like one is supposed to be horror. You spend like the entire game fighting a giant fly zombie. Dude, it's so weird. And then there's the Chris Redfield, which is supposed to be like an action game. You're like running around with a gun and you just like shoot lots of things. And then the Jake one is just crazy. It's just a crazy storyline, and they're all supposed to intertwine, but they don't really. None of them are coherent or make any sense. Yeah, dude, it's such a nightmare of a game. And I honestly feel like if you think it wasn't that bad, you didn't play through the whole game, because when you play through all 3 stories and then the 4th one after, you're like, dude, I've had so much of this game, and it gets worse the longer you go, because it just sort of it wears away at you. It wears away at your soul until at the end you're just like, dude, do I even like Resident Evil? I'm so confused about where I stand on this. But yeah,
6 is the reason why they kind of rebooted
6 is
the entire franchise into what became 7.
Yeah,
honestly.
I don't think 6 will ever get remastered. I think 5 probably will. People also didn't like 5 generally. I kind of like it, but I also realize it's not a perfect.
No,
game.
what I meant,
6
Travis,
is a whole new level of being.
No, but I think that lends more to the fact that they could just potentially just remake the entire thing from the ground up. I'm saying, you know, in the future, because if you're telling me the story was that shitty and it was just so bad in general, why not? Right? Because right now, all the remakes that they're doing, it's like, man, everything is just flowing for them, right? They're tying in everything, you know, like Ains was saying, you know, with Village, they show you the beginning of everything that started, right? They're tying everything together. And I think, you know, going forward in the future, I really see them doing that. And I mean, you're talking probably for not another, maybe 5-6 years. They still 4 is releasing next year. And then obviously they're going to get to 5 at some point, and then they're going to get to 6. And then they'll already have maybe another 1 or 2 mainline entries in the series by then. You know, I mean, so
are they planning
on doing, man? But to me, what is it?
Are they doing what?
Are they doing 3?
Didn't they just remake it?
3 what?
Resident Evil 3. Did that get a remake?
Yeah.
No, they just did Resident Evil 2, right? 3 got a
remake.
Really?
You completely missed it, man.
Yeah, they did.
I even know that.
I think I own it. I think I probably own it.
I'm sure you do,
but I just didn't play it.
Yeah, they did. They made 3.
They modified it a bit.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like
Yeah.
a complete retelling, but it's more, I would say, coherent and tied to 2 than the original.
4 though, I played 4 when it first launched on the GameCube. 4 it seems to be not a complete retelling, but a full-on remake, including story elements as well. You know,
Yeah.
even like in the preview that they showed, like in how they, that's basically a sequel to 2, I think, to Resident Evil 2, because it's supposed to take what 6 or 7 years after the
6 years.
events
Oh,
of
right. Okay, yeah, I remember this game.
Yeah, so
Jeez.
they're trying to tie everything in together. I'm excited, man. I love to, I can't wait to play Village again in third person mode too.
I
did
just feel
mention-
like they would have to retcon 6 to remake it.
There's
You know
nothing
what I
wong
mean?
with that though, man. If it's as
there's a
bad as you're
difference.
saying
There's a
it is,
difference between cosmetic changes or small changes like Resident Evil 3 and like, or at least I didn't play Resident Evil 3 obviously, but I played the old one, but not the remake. But Resident Evil 2 remake was like slightly altered, right? Resident Evil 6 would have to be. I mean, we're talking a whole. Isn't even Resident Evil 6 at that point? You know what I mean?
You can,
to throw away everything.
you can ask Elu, man. They did such an amazing job with Resident Evil 2 remake. I think it's his favorite. It's his personal
They didn't
favorite
change
Resident
that
Evil.
much.
Well, according to him, he said that it's his favorite. Like he's always been a Resident Evil fan. To him, like
Yeah.
the 2 remake is up there for him. Like it's probably his favorite one. I never played the original 2, but I would imagine that because it plays.
I mean,
it looks
hey,
like
look,
great.
Capcom, if you're gonna remake Resident Evil 6, throw the baby out with the bathwater on that.
I think
one.
so, man.
And the tub and the bathroom.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Resident Evil
Oh, yeah.
5 is maybe salvageable, but Resident Evil 6, dude, like
It's bad.
And by the way, I looked
Dude.
it up while you guys were talking because people were asking in the chat. Resident Evil 5 is the best-selling Resident Evil of all time.
That's
not
very
surprised
impressive.
at all. Not surprised at all. Because
Yeah.
that game actually had like mass market appeal. Not only was it a good for Resident Evil, good shooter, like Resident Evil 4, but it had split screen co-op the whole time. I mean, that's how lots of people played that game, split screen co-op.
Well, and it came out at
didn't
hype
make it
at the top of the 360 and had the bundle and promotion there too.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 6 is actually second, but they've also had so many more years. We know that 7 and Village are still selling. They may, the newer ones may catch up over time. So
yeah,
we'll see.
I wonder. One more thing. I'm sorry. I wonder why they decided to include a third-person mode in Village.
I don't know.
But
That was
not
the
7.
weirdest part of the announcement to me too. I thought the same thing, Mo. Like, why are you doing this in Village but not 7?
I think if they do, because the first thing I mentioned was as soon as it was announced. Remember, I told you guys, I'm like, I wonder how this would play out, how a third-person mode would be in House Beneviento. Right?
Mhm.
Like, I mean, I'm talking like if you played that game, that is an incredibly creepy mission and just mansion in general, and obviously just the horror effect it was amazing in first person. It was designed for first person, so I wonder how that's going to translate over to third. I'm sure they already have that figured out, but if they end up doing 7 in third person, I think a lot of the horror element would also be lost from that as well. Those games
Do
were
you
just
think-
designed to be in first person, man, especially 7 and the mansion.
Do you think they'll do a first person mode in Resident Evil 4 remake?
A first-person mode. Oh, you're reversing it.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one, man.
I don't know. They're doing VR.
Yeah.
So maybe
So the
Yeah,
VR
there
must
is
be first person, right?
it is.
There's no way
Yeah, yeah, there is a VR. Yeah,
There you
It is.
go. So
they
that
might.
counts
They
as a
just
first
might,
person.
man. They just
Yeah.
might. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Let's catch up on these super chats. Dan, coming at you
Yes,
hot
sir.
here. Put your glasses on.
Nope. Game positive with $6.99 Canadian. Can't stay, but so love you all. Happy Father's Day to all the mofos out there. You are all champions.
My man,
Eric.
Eric.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you,
Excellent.
brother. Always appreciate you. Hope
I
you're
guess
having a
if
good
they're
time.
fathers, they're literally mofos.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Not for a while, though. All right.
Are they
He's not-
mofos, or would that only apply after the kid is born?
Plot twist.
That's right. So that's interesting. That's an interesting theory.
Yeah,
Let's
they're not mothers at the time of conception.
let's dive into this in a 30-minute segment on Bitcast.
You can also be a father and not be a mofo. Or is that right?
No, if you're a father, you are a mofo, like for sure.
Well, no, not.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
Maybe, yeah, eventually, I guess. Yeah.
You're at least a former mofo, Dan. At
Yeah.
some point, you mofoed. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but you don't have to be a father to be a mofo. Right. Yeah, those aren't like
That is very true.
All right.
Right.
Yeah.
All fathers are mofos, but not all mofos are fathers. This is
There it is.
We come to Bitcast every week for
We got it right here, buddy.
Topics.
Hard hitting content.
Game Positive really got his money's worth with that.
Yeah, he did, man. Oh, he did.
Rio. Travis, a few weeks back, talked briefly about micro-budget Hellblade. Hellblade 2 must have much bigger budget, I suspect, but is the same team, the core?
Yeah, the answer is that most of the people, the 30 people that worked on Hellblade 1 are involved in Hellblade 2, but the team surrounding it is much, much bigger and has a much bigger budget. So I would hope that it stays true to its, I mean, everything we've seen about it, it seems like it's going to be a much more polished version of the same game. So
yeah,
I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, definitely. Much bigger team. Yeah, much bigger budget. So be
not going to play it in the next 12 months, though. I got to say, I'm kind of surprised by that.
Yeah, man, me too.
When they said next 12 months, I was like, okay, so we're definitely seeing Hellblade.
Yeah, I have to. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot.
Could be fall of next year. You think maybe fall?
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be fall game.
Vampire in the house.
Yeah, it shows up. I don't even know what face that is.
What'd you call him? Vampire.
Yeah,
he's our resident vampire.
Oh, he is. Okay. Oh, right, because he's super white.
Thanks, Luke.
Thank you, Luke.
Yeah. All right. And Mr. Irishman, thank you, sir. Resident Evil 6 is the best B movie I've ever played.
That's actually a great way to describe it. And if you go in expecting it to just be an unmitigated disaster, it can be a lot of fun. I played that entire game in co-op with a friend I used to have, and it rekindled our friendship because it was so bad and we were just roasting it the whole time. So it's quite good if you go in with a sense of humor, but it's not better than Resident Evil Village. Hoeg, you monster. What's wrong with you?
Jesus, man. I can't believe I missed that. Oh my god.
Can you imagine how like hurt you have to be as a person? How like damaged you have to be to believe that? It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's unhinged.
God. Yeah, anyway. you didn't catch that segment, Mo. Go back because it is hilarious. All right.
Oh, yeah.
All right. A couple other things got announced at Capcom Showcase. So I have to mention this. Contractually obligated as the host of Bitcast, though I'd rather not, is that Monster Hunter Rise is getting its Sunbreak expansion on June 30th. And there's also a free update coming in the fall when they said that there will be more free updates coming through the rest of the year and into 2023. So pretty popular game. Dan, did you play that one? Rise on the Switch?
No. I think I played the demo, and then I was like, no, I'm good. It was, I mean, there were like Monster Hunter, for the whatever it was when it came out a few years ago.
Monster Hunter World.
Monster Hunter World. Yeah. I mean, for me, I played Monster Hunter games prior to that, but that one was kind of like that diamond in the rough for me. And everything I've played since and really before, it just never really hit, So Iceborne was great. It was an amazing expansion. I played the heck out of that too. I can't stand playing on my Switch generally. So no, not excited. Elu, I'm sure, is excited.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. He's not allowed to talk about Monster Hunter anymore. He's banned.
Do we have any Monster Hunter fans on this podcast?
I don't know if Hoeg is.
World.
I'm not. I don't know if Hoeg is.
Oh. So I've tried all of them. Like all my friends are huge Monster Hunter fans, and every time one of the game comes out, they're all like, "We're gonna get together. We're gonna get a group. We're gonna hunt monsters," and they always try to get me in. And I tend to fall off them pretty quick. I like them, but there's just something about I think it's the grind. They're very grindy games, most of them, and
it's probably the poor gameplay, world, character design.
Oh boy, he's a hater. He's a hater, folks. I don't hate it. I respect the series a lot. It's one of those things where it's sort of not for me, but I think it's cool. I mean, dude, the idea of killing monsters as your core premise for your game is amazing. It has
I don't know how they messed up
so
badly. It's crazy.
Did you play World?
Yes. I've tried tried to get into it like 3 separate times, like legitimately. My stepson loves it. He has hundreds of hours into it. So I tried with him. I tried by myself. I played the demo originally or the beta, whatever it was. Yeah, I just can't do it. And I know, obviously I'm joking around here, but it's goes without saying, this is a beloved IP, right? It's the biggest IP for Capcom. Monster Hunter World is their best-selling game. So I know there's millions and millions of people who love it, but no matter what I do, as much as I try it, I can't get into it.
Right.
Yeah. I this is one I'm determined to get into one of these days. I'm going to get into Monster Hunter. It's just, I feel like World was the right game, and I just missed the boat because there were so many other things coming out at that time. But I'm gonna get into this damn series at some point.
You can.
I've played probably 12 of them.
We can try together and just try and push through and maybe complain to each other during the entire stretch.
Maybe that's what it takes. Maybe part of the reason I failed in the past is because I'm rolling with people who know so much about the game, and I always feel like a rube. Maybe I need to, maybe I need to get assigned it to review. Then I would have to play the whole thing, and that would really get me.
I'm going to reach out to Dan and say when Sunbreak, get him Sunbreak code next week here.
There's no chance I will get that game, by the way. It's too beloved.
I also feel like, all jokes aside, I feel like if you're reviewing that, you kind of do need to know, right? Like, you kind of
I'll play the game that's made by a separate development team called Monsters Hunters, and it'll be completely unlicensed, just made by some C-tier studio that's hoping that you'll buy it because you get confused by the title. That's the one I'll review, I'm sure.
Oh my god. Too funny. They then announced that Exoprimal, this game they showed last year originally, I believe, is coming in 2023. There's a closed beta coming later this year. And the funniest thing I saw about this game was that people were comparing it to Anthem because you've got these people in these, mecha suits and co-op flying around and destroying stuff. So we'll see if that's any good. And then they also announced that Street Fighter 6 is going to continue to get announcements, with another big announcement coming later this year as they lead into 2023, of course. So, obviously that should have gone without saying. But so, Capcom, in my opinion, they're just firing on all cylinders. We know they're crushing it with Resident Evil. Street Fighter 6 looks amazing. Dragon's Dogma 2 announcement hit big. They're killing it.
Yeah.
Renaissance.
I would like to shout out Ubisoft for having an announcement for another announcement. So thank you, Ubisoft.
Oh God,
you stupid morons!
How stupid was that?
Gosh, man, I was so mad.
It's September. It's not like it's next week or in 2 weeks. September. 3 months away.
I feel like they have to address the fact that they're not doing a show.
Yeah,
I agree.
I feel like EA should also do that.
I also agree.
Yeah.
I don't know what these companies are doing. These are big companies that used to have shows with big games, and they're just like EA. I have no idea what EA is doing. Honestly,
I know what they're doing. They're suffering from COVID like lots of other developers and have nothing to show, and so they're just like, let's just hope that nobody notices we didn't do a show this year.
I just hope none of these companies get monkeypox, because then we're screwed.
Yeah,
screwed.
Well, and Ubisoft, to your point, they always do a show. They have some of the biggest IPs, and to your point, Dan, the only thing they come out with this Assassin's Creed celebration. We get Origins upgrade, which is cool. But then they say, we're going to talk more about the future of Assassin's Creed in September. It's like, what? Why would you say that?
Yeah, thank you for the Assassin's Creed celebration. We got another one coming.
Yeah, we got another update coming 3 months from now.
Maybe
and obviously,
that's
the big one, because that's what people are waiting to hear, because they've announced this Assassin's Creed Infinite or Infinity, whatever the hell they're calling it. It's then kind of the future of Assassin's Creed, and yet nothing. Crickets.
I will say I prefer Ubisoft's method to the method of A, showing your game before it's ready, or B, giving me a logo. I'd rather just give me a date to when I should start caring again. You know what I mean? Just, hey, start caring.
But you don't have to have an event for it. Don't even bother with the event. Why even have like a small event to give me a date for another event?
Because they have to celebrate Assassin's Creed. Was it an anniversary or something where they had to do something?
Who knows?
This is where they're probably going to show off Infinity.
I feel like every month there's probably an anniversary for an Assassin's Creed game at this point. So, you could just do whatever you wanted to.
That is true.
It's insane. Just to say, hey, just announce it. Just say, hey, here's the 60 frames update for Origins, and September is coming. And then, but why even go through the process and the investment of having a small event to tell people that are playing Valhalla still, which is great. Here's more content for you also.
Well, it kind of reminds me of N7 Day. You know how EA does like the Mass Effect Day on November 7th every year? And some years there's clearly nothing to say about Mass Effect, but they have to do the event anyway because their fans they love the game so much. And so sometimes you just get like weird non-announcements, and it could have just been one of those things. Like we feel like we have to talk about Assassin's Creed every year.
It's like May the 4th.
Right. Yeah.
May the 4th. Except for May the 4th has actually had news recently.
EA, like I know we've said it before on this, but take Respawn away, right? Well, EA has Battlefield 2042, which we're not going to talk about again. I don't want to ever talk about that game again.
Season 1's coming out.
Stop it.
2.5 years later, whatever it is.
Nearly 3 quarters later, 8 months later, season 1's coming out, and it's not even much at all. And then they had Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which obviously was awesome, well celebrated, right? But those games were made over a decade ago, right?
Yeah. Also free on Prime Gaming next week or next month, maybe.
Mass Effect.
Yeah, for PC. Yes. Cool. So Prime Gaming, go get it.
And then people were wondering about Nintendo. So the leak is that Nintendo's going to have an event on the 29th. So looking at the date, we should maybe hear about that this week if that's actually happening. But some pretty solid sources are saying it's going to be on the 29th. So we'll see what happens with the next Nintendo Direct, hopefully soon.
Yeah. Mo will get our Metroid clown makeup on, and we'll be good to go.
Absolutely,
I'll be there with you, buddy.
I'll be ready for it, baby. Oh, yeah.
That game doesn't exist.
Well, the best part is they show a logo, and then it was what's the name of the studio again?
Retro, thank you.
Retro,
Then we hear, okay, Retro's working on this, and then it was like 2 years later we got the news report that they had started completely
restarting
over again, like just started from scratch.
Retro wasn't working on it initially. It was another developer. And after
that's right.
After that, they're like, all right, screw this. Let's just
say we're giving it to a new studio and starting over. And so this is one of those things where like the kind of pressure on the developers to announce that they're working on a Metroid Prime game sort of defeated them, because it's like if you would have just waited, people still would have been asking for the game, but they wouldn't be expecting it. But the fact that you showed a logo, now they have to put out that game. They can't scale bound this one. You know what I mean?
And
that would be.
And I think it was a smart idea to go back to Retro too, man. Retro made Prime. They made Prime what it is. You know what I mean? You have to go back to the ones that know it best. Just like how Prince of Persia, Sands of Time remake is going back to Ubisoft Montreal. You have to, bro. You got to take it back to its forefathers, where it all started.
Yeah, that's another development hilarity, right? Is the whole Prince of Persia thing. A remake announced and delayed, then canceled, then brought back, and it's a mess. Travis,
subscribe to my main channel. Yeah,
I see that you're promoting your channel again. I like it. Good to see it. All right.
Great channel. We got lots of HD photos, I assume. I don't know what they are. I don't know.
All right. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up for the week. So appreciate you all coming out back to our normal time on Bitcast. We should be back to normal next week, Hoeg. I know there's some other stuff going on with travel, so we will let you know during the week. As always, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We'll go ahead and close out. Mo, I'm going to let you kind of promote anything you want to promote here before I give the spiel.
Oh, no, man. We're good. Find us Sundays, TBC Cast. I don't know about tonight, but we'll be back. I'm sorry. My son's crying upstairs. Doctor Moe on Twitter. I do interact with everybody. Love you guys. Peace. Love. I'm so sorry. My kid's losing his mind. Thank you for having me on, man. It's been awesome. Holy shit, you can hear him too. Yeah. Happy Father's Day, guys. I'll see you guys later. Thank you so much.
See you, Mo. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
Yeah, he was sorry, everyone. He was pinging us that his kids need him, so he had to run quickly. So to close out, what's going on with Season Gaming? I see someone in the chat. Geo, yes, if there's a cast co-op, yes, we are going to do a cast co-op later this week. There will be also a couple reviews of some other games coming out. I am also sitting down with Miles Dampier from over at Windows Central and one of the
Nice.
Xbox Chatterdays hosts. So him and I are going to sit down, do a one-on-one later this week. So you can look for that. That should be a lot of fun. And then we also threw something new up on the channel this week called SG Short, which is a new video where we're kind of trying out, which kind of takes a single game or topic, gives you a quick 5-minute look at it, including detailed info that you might not normally know about, that either come from the developers, the studio, the press release, etc. So check that out. Did the first SG Short on Redfall earlier this week. Pretty good feedback so far. Let me know what you think. Would love to get some more feedback on it as we evolve that. So, Travis, what you got going on, man?
Yeah. Did I do any previews this week? Oh, so I have a preview going up next week for a game that has been announced. That should be up on like Friday. I've got the review of Outriders World Slayer, which I think is going live on June 27, if I can get my early access code to work. That's a separate problem I'm having. But yeah, I got to work on that. I'm a little under the gun on that one. And then, yeah, other than that, you can hear me talk about Destiny on Thursdays in a show called The Last Word that I record with some of my buddies. And other than that, keep following me on IGN, and you can follow me on Twitter at TagGuyTravis.
Perfect. Dan?
Yep.
Hanging out. Happy Father's Day to everyone.
Happy Father's Day
to you too. And we'll see you next week, I'm sure. Maybe.
Yeah.
Probably.
We'll see you next
Happy
week.
Father's Day to me for not having a kid screaming my name from upstairs or the other room or whatever. That's a beautiful gift. And I guess you guys too. You guys are past the hard part. So happy Father's Day indeed.
Yeah.
Past the hard part, maybe a little bit of a stretch, but yes, past the screaming, yes.
Yeah. Two twin 15-year-old boys telling me that they want to completely change their room up, at 10 o'clock at night. It's just, I'm just like, what is happening? Because this was my last night. I was just like, yeah. So they're wonderful. Their kids are great.
Wow. That's what you get for being a mofo, both of you.
There's a nice space in between, like when they get out of diapers, you don't have to wipe their butts anymore, to about 14, 15 years old.
He's right. 5 to about 15
that's the sweet spot. And then after they turn 18 and they're gone, that's there's a sweet spot in there somewhere. But we love our kids. So
yeah, Ames, aren't all of your kids like in their 40s now? Okay.
My youngest is soon to be 17, actually.
Your youngest.
My youngest.
Right on.
So anyway, happy Father's Day to all you listeners out there, everyone that hangs out with us. Like I said, thank you so much for always supporting us. And we will be back hopefully with Hoeg next week. We will see. Like I said, he may honestly be traveling next week as well. We will see.
I think he is. I think he's traveling next Sunday.
Yeah. So we'll figure that out. But everyone have a good week. Thank you as always for hanging out with us. And we will see you next Sunday. Until then.